Good evening. Hi, I hereby announce that pursuant to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, the adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in the notice which was sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Two River Times, and posted on the bulletin board in Township Hall, and filed in the Township Clerk's office on January 3rd, 2023. Mayor Lucarelli? Here. Mr. Impreviduto?
Here.
Mr. Von Tempo?
Here.
Mr. Foster?
Here.
Ms. LaMountain?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Can we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Can we all please stay standing for a moment for our troops, both home and abroad, that protect us every day? Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Oh, that's great. So we have a special proclamation this evening for the HYAA 5th grade girls basketball team. So congratulations very much, girls. So it states, whereas this year, 2022 and 2023, Holmdel Youth Athletic Association 5th grade girls travel basketball team finished their regular season with an impressive win in the championship. And after coming off an undefeated season in the prior year, the team faced some early challenges before making adjustments and turning things around to finish the season strong. And the team ended this year with a remarkable 12-2 record, whereas Holmdel ultimately won the 2022-2023 Mid-Monmouth Championship for the second year in a row. The players were led and supported and encouraged in their endeavors and successes by coaches Allison Gramando, Dominic Serini, and our own Brian Foster. Therefore, be it resolved by the Mayor of Township and the Committee of Holmdel on this day, the 9th day of May 2023, that congratulations be extended to the following: Blake Gramando, Catherine Pollock, Charlotte Burkle, Elle Foster, Emma Chang, Giovanna Chabad, Ida Ackerson, Josephine Serini, Leah Leah Lynn, Riley Zamet, and Serena Levine. Personally and officially on behalf of the residents of Holmdel, of the community, of their outstanding achievements, and may it further be resolved that a suitable and gross copy of this resolution be presented to the team as a small token of the esteem in which they have held, and that the best wishes be extended to all their continued success and future endeavors. So congratulations, girls. If I would like to have you come up with your coaches for some pictures and present to you the proclamation. Good night, girls. Thanks again.
There is, yeah. I think that extension cord goes down right to there. Can you just plug into that, Jay? Will that be easy? To the green one? Follow the green one, yeah. Is that good or no? I don't know if anything's plugged into it. How's that?
Okay, so back to normal order. The committee met this evening in executive session where we discussed items that were on our executive session resolution. And now we will be moving to our consent agenda items. At this time, we'll take public comments or? The minutes, oh, did I miss that? I'm sorry. Approval of minutes from April 11th. Wendy?
Motion?
Do we have a motion for the approval of our April 11th minutes
Motion.
and executive and public sessions?
Motion.
Second.
Wendy?
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Ms. LaMountain?
Yes.
Mayor Lucarelli?
Yes.
The minutes have been successfully passed. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will take public comments on agenda items only. If there's anyone in the public that would like to speak or have questions or comments on the consent agenda items, please raise your hand. Seeing none. Oh, yes, Mr. Blumenthal. So that's just, we're introducing it. There'll be a public hearing on that at a future date, like a normal resolution, I'm sorry, not resolution, a ordinance. Is there a you'll be speaking about the introduction of the budget this evening, correct? You got that, Ralph? Okay. You're welcome. Okay, seeing no other comments on consent agenda items, we will make a motion. I am going to. Okay, so before we make the motion, I'm going to recuse myself on the payments of Nature's Choice, and then I will also be recusing in the future with a note on any payments to that. So that is on the bills payable. So with that recusal, I make a motion to approve resolution 2023-141 to 2023-154. Oh, 151, my apologies. 141 to 151.
Moved. Second.
Wendy?
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Ms. LaMountain?
Yes.
Mayor Lucarelli?
Yes, with a note.
Okay. Resolutions 2023-141 to 2023-151 have been successfully passed.
Thank you, Wendy. And now we have introduction of ordinances.
Yes. Next is introduction of ordinance 2023-05, which is an ordinance of the Township of Holmdel, Monmouth County, State of New Jersey, to exceed the 2023 municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. NJSA 40A:4-45.14. The motion is to adopt on first reading and publish in the Asbury Park Press and set the public hearing for May 23rd, 2023.
Thank you, Wendy. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion, Mayor. I just want to make one clarifying statement, or actually confirm one clarifying statement. To the CFO and or the administrator, the increase in the appropriation limits to the cap bank is something that we do. I want to make sure it's matter of course. It's standard operating procedure as I understand it. It's something we do every year when introducing the budget. Is that correct?
Yes, we do it every year.
Thank you.
Do I have a second?
Second.
No problem. Wendy?
Mr. Bontempo?
Yeah, so Bill, just confirm that this is not necessarily raising the rates, it's just raising the cap bank, just for people to understand.
It's raising the cap bank in case we need to use it in future years.
So it's not necessarily raising
It's not raising taxes.
taxes at
No.
all? Okay. Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Ms. LaMountain?
Yes.
Mayor Lucarelli?
Yes.
Okay, 2023-05 will be set for public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Administrator, do you want to take over at this time?
Thank you, Mayor. Notwithstanding some technical difficulties, I did expect to do a visual mini presentation, but it is essentially fairly short, and I'll just walk through it if I may. And I apologize for the technical difficulties. Due to my newness, I realized that my laptop does not have the necessary connections to get us hooked up. So we're going to address that in the budget moving forward. First of all, just by way of background in terms of the process, this is a budget introduction. This does follow the same general format as an ordinance where upon introduction there is a notice, there's a public hearing set. Notice of that public hearing will be published together with a summary of the budget. Copies of the budget will be available for public inspection and review. That advertisement will take place on May 31st in the Asbury Park Press, and the public hearing is being scheduled for June 13th. That's in accordance with the statutory requirements that the budget shall be considered, that the public hearing cannot be held less than 28 days after the date of introduction. The first question that always comes up is the budget process and the budget document. What's in the municipal budget? The budget itself is follows the state form, which is required. The budget will be reviewed by the New Jersey Division of Local Government Services for compliance with all applicable statutes and regulations. The budget document itself is the current spending plan for the township's general government operations, which includes police, emergency services, public works, and parks and recreation. The spending plan for operation, the budget also includes a separate non-tax supported section for our sewer utility, which is funded by the user fees that are generated from the sewer utility. And likewise, the township operates the swim pool club, which likewise has been established as a utility, meaning that the revenues from the swim club operation are dedicated to cover the cost of operations of that utility. No tax revenues are directly used to support those two utility operations. Additionally, the municipal budget includes a capital budget and capital improvement program, which is the first step as part of our planning for capital expenditures and investments in the township for township infrastructures, which include roads, buildings, parks, as well as our utilities and capital equipment. The budget itself in terms of operations includes both discretionary spending and spending to which the township is already committed. Existing salaries in accordance with our existing union contracts or those that are to be negotiated, together with the related expenses for employees such as pension, health benefits, as well as what I would call other non-discretionary spending for everything from street lighting to snow removal and things of that nature. It's important to note that less than 5% of the budget is discretionary spending, meaning that those are items that either do not have to be paid for this year, could be paid for in future years, or are discretionary in the sense that if there was a desire to alter the level of services that are provided to the taxpayers and residents of the township. In accordance with state law, this budget is balanced, meaning that the anticipated revenues match the authorized appropriations. Spending cannot exceed the amount that is budgeted. So once this budget is adopted, with the very few exceptions for amendments to the budget for things like grants that may be received during the course of the year, or after November 1st when transfers are permitted from one budget line to another, once the budget is adopted, that is our spending plan with very little flexibility during the course of our budget year. Looking forward, the good news is that on the revenue side, our revenues continue to rise. Moving forward and specifically looking to next year, We do, at this time, anticipate that state aid will be reduced next year, primarily related to extra revenue that was allocated to the township as a result of post-COVID returns to operations. Additionally, for those members of the governing body and the public that have heard this term before, this year, this budget includes revenue that was provided under the American Rescue Plan. That was, again, a COVID funding relief from the federal level. Those funds will run out this year, so next year we will not see those as a recurring revenue, something to be considered, or that was considered in the preparation of this year's budget. On the appropriation side, the appropriations being those authorized expenditures in this year, there were a number of challenges that were faced in preparing the budget, most notably health insurance costs. The employee insurance benefit, we are part of the state health benefits plan, and late last year it was announced that the state would be providing or forcing a 24% increase in the cost of providing health benefits to the township's employees. Additionally, challenge in this year's budget were pension contributions. We're seeing a market increase in those costs that are being appropriated in this budget. Additionally, two items that are challenges that we've been able to address, accumulated absences. Another employee benefit, there is a limitation on the amount of accumulated sick leave that employees are entitled to be paid for at the time of retirement. They are capped by statutory limits. But nonetheless, in the past, the township has not provided for, has not prepaid or planned for the payout of those funds. This budget does include an amount for that, and those funds will be reserved, if not used this year, for future years when the actual retirements take place. Additionally, a challenge this year has been debt service. We have, this budget includes an increase in the amount of debt service to pay down the township's debt, and that is the township's long-term debt. Until the past couple of years, interest rates were very low, so the cost, the carrying cost and the borrowing costs were relatively minimal. Just as the mortgage rates have increased, the cost of borrowing for the township has also increased, and to offset that, there's been a plan to increase our pay down of indebtedness to benefit future, that we'll see the benefit of in future year budgets. As I mentioned earlier, one component of the budget document itself is the capital improvement plan. This is a plan for improvements to public buildings, roads, and the scheduled replacement of vehicles and equipment. It also includes improvements to the sanitary sewer system and the swim pool, which are funded, as I mentioned earlier, by the user fees generated by these utilities. As part of the state oversight of municipal finances, the state budget regulations require that our capital improvement plan includes the preparation of a 6-year program, and that's based on the township's population. Smaller communities are only required to have a 3-year capital plan. The capital budget by itself does not appropriate, nor does it authorize the expenditure of any funds. Let me say that again. The capital plan and the program by itself does not appropriate nor authorize the expenditure of any funds. Authorization for specific projects, improvements, and purchases are approved at the time a capital ordinance or a bond ordinance is introduced, public hearing held, and then finally adopted. But this does outline our current plan as of this date. We do expect that that will change during the course of the year, primarily based on we are awaiting the receipt of a major stormwater and drainage study that will identify our drainage improvements that we will need to make. We will most likely not fund them in the current year, but it is something that we will incorporate into our capital plan as that information becomes available. To summarize, the capital improvement plan, the 6-year plan identifies just over $24 million in capital investments. In the current year, The total that is being anticipated starting this year is $2.9 million. Something to bear in mind, the first question that usually comes up as part of the budget process is, what is the tax impact? First, it should be noted that the Township of Holmdel serves as the tax collector for a number of taxing entities. In addition to the taxes that are collected, that are paid and collected by the township from township property owners, the township collects the taxes for the county as well as the school district. So the question comes down to, where do your taxes go? For every $100 that a resident or property owner in the township pays in taxes, $17 is to support our local budget. The balance is the other taxing entities. Approximately $68, or 68%, of the tax dollars that are collected are for the Holmdel School District. About $12 are collected for Monmouth County, and then $4 are for other entities, primarily the county library tax, the county health tax, as well as the open space tax. In terms of this year's budget, it is estimated that the tax rate will be 26.7 cents per $100 of assessed valuation, and that is down from 30 cents in last year. This is primarily reflecting the increase in property values, as property values have risen compared to last year. To put it another way, for the year 2023, a 1 cent change in the tax rate is equal to approximately $556,000 in our municipal budget. This means that in order to decrease Holmdel's tax rate by 1 cent, we would need to either decrease appropriations for spending or increase other revenues than taxes by this amount. The budget as proposed provides, and this is based on the current average assessment for a Holmdel Township home, which is $905,000, just over $905,000. This compares to last year's $778,000, again reflecting the fairly significant increase in residential property values that township homeowners have experienced. This would translate into just over $2,400 in local purpose tax to support the budget as prepared. And this compares quite favorably to the last year's municipal taxes in the amount of $2,390 for the average residential property owner in Holmdel.
Jay, can I pause for one moment with you? I'm sorry to interrupt the narrative. I want to make sure that I've got it clear and for the folks listening at home and here. The tax rate year over year has gone down. The assessed values of homes have gone up.
That's correct.
And so therefore, if someone's paying more taxes, it's due to the 15% increase in property values, not due to the management of the municipal budget, in which case, again, we've reduced the tax rate year over year.
That's correct. It actually is also reflecting of the fact that residential properties have increased more quickly or at a higher rate than commercial properties within the community. So if you're a commercial property owner in Holmdel, you will more than likely see a slight reduction in the actual amount of taxes that you pay, even though the tax rate's going down and the amount of taxes in total is roughly the same.
Make one comment on that. The anticipated increase on the average household is about $27 between 22 and 23.
To summarize the budget numbers, the amount raised from taxation is proposed at $14,832,000, and I'm sorry, $832,276. This is down slightly, down by the amount of $365. So for all practical purposes, the amount of taxes that are being raised to support the municipal budget is equal to last year. Technically, it is down slightly. Total appropriation spending is up by $1.7 million compared to last year. That spending increase is offset by increases in non-tax revenues, including our pilot payments. So while our appropriations will be going up, the taxes that are collected to support that spending is remaining the same, and in fact, slightly less than last year. This budget, as proposed, maintains existing levels of service. It also includes funding for 2 additional police officers and includes the capital program, or identifies capital program to invest $2.9 million in our buildings, our roads, drainage, sewer, and park improvements, as well as the replacement of some of our worn-out vehicles and equipment. This budget also reduces township debt by $4.1 million, most of which is in the tax-supported current fund, but does also include some debt reductions in our sewer utility, the swim pool utility, as well as our open space trust. I'm happy to answer any questions, or Bill, if you have anything you wanted to add.
Just make a couple comments. The pension, the PERS went up by 8.62%, and the police and fire went up by 12.32%. Also, we're looking at the notes. We recall last year we borrowed the money for the bond anticipation notes from the Affordable Housing Trust at 1.66%, and they're coming due this summer. We have to look a way to save, because again, we were getting cheap money at less than 1% for quite a few years, but now you know, the interest rates are up.
And now the next, ordinance 2023-152, the government body certification, is that part of Bill's presentation, Bill? Or does that come back up to Wendy?
That's 152. That's certifying that you comply with the equal opportunity employment laws. That's a requirement. They will not approve your budget unless that's sent up to the state. That's the reason. Separate resolution, yes.
So Wendy, do you want to make a motion? Read that out. Do we have we'll do a motion for 152?
Correct.
Okay. Do
Yep.
I have a motion to approve resolution 2023-152?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Wendy?
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Improviduto?
Yes.
Ms. LaMountain?
Yes.
Mayor Lucarelli?
Yes.
Okay, 2023-152 has been successfully passed. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. And then before we introduce the budget, I just wanted to again reiterate some key points. And thank you, Jay and Bill, for the great job that I think you did putting this budget together. Some of the things that I think are important to mention again, that I feel like we are working very hard on ensuring physical responsibility to this approach. We worked very hard on not spending any extra money. Most of these increases that we see here are extremely due to whether it's pension funds or increases in inflationary items, or if it's within the in the insurance, a lot of the insurance money, the insurance funds, there was large increases there. I think we're adding, we were able to keep a flat tax rate and keeping the community safe. We were able to better equip our police department with equipment and add 2 officers at the same time. And we again are accomplishing this while maintaining a zero municipal tax increase. We were able to reduce the capital expenditures to $2.9 million, well below the ceiling of $3.5, and again significantly lower than what we've done in past years, especially last year, where we were able to take advantage of some low interest rates, but at the same time, you know, we have to pay back that money. So I'm proud of the fact that we were able to come in below a $3 million mark on the capital improvement bond, while still being able to give what we felt like were bare necessities that these different departments needed to function and stay up to date and ahead of the curve in their respective departments. We dramatically slowed municipal spending increase, which we've seen this peak since last year. We directed our CFO and administrator to establish. This is something else that not that really has anything to do with this year's budget, but it's something that I'm proud to say that through this process, a lot of things came up about the fact that there's going to come a day when the pilot program ends, and there is going to be a very large hole, gaping hole in our budget. So I did instruct our administrator and our CFO to start preparing a plan to present to the township committee for a future date that prepares for that day when it comes and we start getting 17% of these current pilot revenues. So I'm looking forward to at least to be responsible in the fact that we need to prepare for this, and I'm looking forward. I'm sure they're not looking forward to preparing this, but at least we're looking forward to be better, readily prepared for future committees to put to control this. And again, with public safety, we were able to spend more money and include that in this budget without increasing taxes to protect our students. We're going to cover some more of the security costs at the schools. Again, 2 new officers and promoting a sergeant, and again updating them with state-of-the-art equipment that they were requesting. And again, if you were to look at this in an adjustment for inflation, our tax rate is actually lower than it was in 2011. So again, I'm proud of that. We've been able to take advantage of pilot funds over the years to offset our increased spending. But I do believe that it's time for us to be very prudent in our spending and to really take really hard looks at how we spend our money in this town. Again, it was a challenging budget this year just due to the rising costs of non-tangible items. So with that, if anyone else on the committee has anything to say before we introduce the budget, I'll let anyone speak. Okay, seeing none, I'd like to make...
I'll just say one quick comment, Deej. Going through this the first time, obviously we had a lot of discussions, as you mentioned, just trying to figure out the best way to be prudent about spending our residents' money. It certainly wasn't an easy process, but I'm really happy with the results, and adding a couple officers on the streets I think was a huge thing that we were looking to do. So,
Thank you, Committeeman. At this time, do I have a motion to introduce our budget, which is 2023-153, Introduction Resolution, 2023 Proposed Municipal Budget?
Motion.
second.
Wendy?
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Ms. Lamountain?
Yes.
Mayor Lucarelli?
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Professional reports. Council, do you have anything for us this evening?
Sure, just one item I actually just identified, Mayor. So the public hearing, as was mentioned by the mayor earlier on the budget, will be not at the next meeting, but at the following meeting due to the 28-day notice period. So that is on June 13th. And I was going to recommend to the committee if it would be acceptable to everyone, given the questions on the cap bank ordinance, perhaps scheduling the public hearing and final adoption for that at that same meeting if there isn't a legal issue, Bill. That way we can answer all those questions at once. Since it involves
It just
the
has
budget.
to be before the adoption of the budget in the public
Exactly.
hearing.
Perfect. So
That makes sense to me.
If that's good with the
yeah.
committee, the clerk could advertise it that way. Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Just another example how we're trying to be, more fiscal responsible is, as you can see, our engineer is not here again this evening. So when there's no need for an engineer to be here, we don't have him here. Boards and committees. Committeeman Foster, do you have any updates for your committees this evening?
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, Chief, I hate to put you on the spot, but the first big part of my update was going to be about the awards. I'd love if we could hear from your mouth about the guy, our team and everything like that. Can we ask you to chat for a quick minute? Sorry.
Thanks, Chief. If you could just speak into, name your name and address, please, for the record. I'm only kidding. I'm only teasing.
Last week, I had the honor to be able to go with 4 of our officers that were recognized by the Monmouth and Ocean County MOCIB annual awards dinner. They were given awards. It was Sergeant, we had Sergeant John Martin, Joe Desco, Chris Broglia, and Mike Nolan, who was also our SRO now over at the schools. They were involved last year with that individual that stole a car from Bayshore Hospital, crashed in Middletown, came back up Highway 35, crashed on 35, and was trying to carjack another car from people. And they wound up making the arrest, getting the individual back into crisis. They were all recognized with an award, and it was an honor for me to be able to be there with my officers for such an outstanding job that they did. So thank you for mentioning that. And then also, I just want to say that last week we finished up our Citizen Academy for this year. After 8 weeks, everyone that attended, we had a great attendance this year. Everybody that came really enjoyed the program, and I'm very excited to see it grow in upcoming years, especially as the word continues on and how well the program is and what they learn about the police department and what we do on a daily basis. And we hope to get a graduation together. I know Captain Piggott's working on that now to get a graduation together for everybody. And then the last thing, I just want to mention that we do have, after the kids graduate this year, we're going to have our youth academy. It will be coming up. So if anybody knows anyone that's interested in that, just visit our website. There's applications on there. And we cover 2 weeks of the youth academy between the ages of 9 and 12 years old. Thank you.
Hey, Chief, can you touch on the assassin, that senior assassin, real quick so that people can understand what it is
Okay.
and what the concern is?
I don't know if any of you here are aware of the senior assassin game that's played. The seniors in the schools in Holmdel and throughout the state and other states play a game. It's called Senior Assassin. It started this time of year. It goes for about 3 weeks or so. And what they do is they get a name they make teams amongst themselves, and it's like the last person standing is the winner, but they have to sneak up on other students, and they assassinate them with water guns. And it's been going on for many years. We've dealt with it in the past, but we did put out a message from the police department saying how we did not feel it was a good idea this time of year that the kids get involved in this because of all the issues that we've been having with these car burglars, and it's juveniles that are coming here stealing cars too. So everybody's at a heightened fear in town, and nothing good could come from this with kids sneaking around, sneaking up on their friends and all. So that's the reason why we ask that please, at least parents know what their kids are doing and try to talk to them and, discourage them from getting involved in the senior assassin game.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Okay.
Appreciate that. Yes, go ahead, Committee.
Thank you, Chief. I wouldn't have been able to provide that color, so sorry again to put you on the spot, but a couple other announcements. The LEAD graduation, which is the Law Enforcement Against Drugs, was held on April 28th at the Indian Hill School. The program was presented by Detective John McGuire to the 6th grade students in preparation for their transition to the WR SAT school. The LEAD program runs for 10 weeks. Students learn about making healthy decisions, the dangers of underage drug and alcohol use, and provide students with strategies to avoid peer pressure inside and outside of school. School resource officer, Michael Nolan again, will be attending LEAD training in the coming weeks and will be certified instructor for the 2023-2024 school year. Next week is National Police Week, and next Monday is National Peace Officers Memorial Day. I'd like to take a moment to thank all those who serve our township and the state of New Jersey as law enforcement officers, and I'd like to recognize those who have given their life while service in the police force. Chief already mentioned the Youth Academy, and then just one quick Public Works recycling update. The Monmouth County Recycling Division has updated their county resident recycling guide. Copies are available on the back table or can be downloaded from either the township or the Monmouth County website. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Committeeman Foster. Committeeman Bontempo?
So, first update, the library is planning on hosting a special military display in time for Memorial Day with items being lent by members of the Veterans Committee. The Holmdel Library Book Club will be discussing the book, The Henna Artist. The library will be holding an author event on June 15th in collaboration with some of the veterans, and the author is Nellie LaHood, and more information will be coming on that, so people can register. Over 560 children attended the variety of programs hosted by the Holmdel Library in the month of April. The library assisted Bellworks businesses with the Bring Your Child to Work Day by scheduling morning and afternoon story time and arts and crafts classes to give parents and children a break during the day. From the veteran side, just a reminder that Holmdel will be hosting Memorial Day ceremony on Monday the 29th, 10:30, right here at Town Hall, right in front of the front doors at this circle. The Veterans Service Officer, through the work this past year with the Veterans Roundtable, we've become acquainted with the Monmouth County Veterans Service Officer, Peter Midgley. Peter works for the New Jersey Department of Military and Veterans Affairs and is a tremendous resource for our local veterans in obtaining benefits and services that they are entitled to. If you or a family member are interested in connecting with Peter about benefits for veterans, check out the Holmdel Veterans webpage for his contact information, or you could always email vetsinfo@holmdeltownship.com. And then the American flag request I mentioned on the previous meeting. The Veterans Committee has launched a flag request initiative in collaboration with Congressman Kim's office. We'll have an American flag flown over the United States Capitol in honor of a veteran. The flag will be mailed to New Jersey and presented to the veteran as a keepsake after it is also flown in front of Town Hall. Veterans or their family members can request a flag by visiting the Veterans Committee webpage, holmdeltownship.com/veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, Committeeman. There's some great programs for our veterans. Miss LaMountain.
Good evening, everyone. From the Community Development Department, Fire Prevention Certificates of Insurance. The Fire Prevention Office has been working diligently, reaching out to businesses to ensure that they are complying with the new state law requiring them to obtain the certificates of insurance. Fire Prevention has registered 705 township businesses year to date, so it's just 2023. There's a whole bunch of new and helpful information now posted to the Fire Prevention webpage if you'd like to take a browse. A development plan checklist is being updated. Department employees are working with our professionals to update the development plan checklist, which was last done in 1999, so it's about time. And they are updating our land use applications. Right now, the department currently has 6 separate land use applications, and we are in the process of having them condensed into one user-friendly application. And that's all from Community Development.
Thank you, Committeewoman LaMountain. And Deputy Mayor, what do you have for us this evening?
Thank you, Mayor. From the Department of Recreation, we hosted a Cinco de Mayo luncheon for senior residents last Tuesday. Over 120 residents were in attendance. It was another great event put on by our Department of Recreation and supported, of course, by our great senior citizens here in Holmdel. The swim club is scheduled to open on Saturday, May 27th. Membership numbers are ahead of 2022, so do not delay in signing up if you have not done so already. Here's something we want to make sure we land for all Holmdel residents. Tennis courts will be available for swim club members during the regular swim club season. Tennis courts will be available for all Holmdel residents during the off-season. A new walkway was installed so that residents will be able to access the tennis courts during the off-season. That would be September of 2023 through Memorial Day 2024. So if you're a tennis aficionado, we have a solution for you in the off-season, and that is again open only to Holmdel residents. The Recreation Department would like to thank the Department of Public Works and all their employees for their hard work maintaining the playing fields for township residents and user groups. At the recreation meeting last night, I heard a number of the other members really compliment the work the DPW's done on the fields, and it was really great to see, and other towns are coming in playing against us and complimenting us as well. And that's due all to the hard work of the Public Works team and Victor Stevens. We'd also like to thank the DPW for assisting with all of the improvement projects at the swim club over the past few months. In regards to the Board of Education, this week our nation and school district are celebrating Teacher Appreciation Week. I encourage all residents to consider taking this opportunity to reach out to a teacher who has made a positive impact in the life of your child, as I'm sure the gesture would be greatly appreciated. The Holmdel School District is hosting its second annual Relay for Life on Rogie Field, Friday, March 12th from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. The American Cancer Society Relay for Life movement is the world's largest peer-to-peer fundraising event dedicated to saving lives from cancer. The event includes music, games, food from UJ's and Patricia's, and a closing luminaria ceremony. Residents can register for the event on site. I had the privilege of attending Arbor Day at Village School. I was there with Board of Education President Pete Reddy, Superintendent Cascone, and Monmouth County Committeeman Ross LaCitra, where we, Commissioner, not Committeeman, Ross LaCitra, where we planted another beautiful tree out in front of the entrance of Village School. I also want to thank the work done by our CFO, our administrator, and the committee here. We are now covering 2/3 of the expense for school security. That's $200,000 out of the $300,000 expenditure. We hope and expect to get that number up to 100% next year. So we managed to keep the tax rate, actually slightly lower the tax rate, and just take a step that I've always personally believed we should have, and be more responsible for public safety within our schools and the kids. So I want to thank, of course, the school resource officers and all the folks that put the work into that. So thank you, everybody, for taking that and moving forward. We've also gotten some great new feedback on new traffic patterns, and I know there's an interested constituent in the audience. I hope he has good feedback as well for it. So there's been new traffic patterns at the high school, early days, but so far so good. Hoping to ease the congestion there a little bit, but we'll keep tabs on that and make sure things are working as planned. Here's something really cool, and I think something that would come up in front of our township committee, someday in the near future. On April 26th, the SATS TSA Club, which is the Technology Student Association, competed in the state competition at TCNJ. The following student projects placed at the competition: cybersecurity, first, second, and third place; CO2 dragster, third place; electrical applications, third place; essays on technology, second place; foundations of information technology, third place; inventions and innovations, second place; junior solar sprint, third place; off the grid, second place; video game design, third place. So, just another extraordinary generation of kids coming up through Holmdel, and couldn't be prouder of those guys. So that's all we have on the Board of Education. Nope, we have one more item. On May 3rd, the BOE met for its public budget meeting, at which the public hearing and school year budget was held. The district is pleased to present the budget for the community, which has prioritized both fiscal prudence and continued investment in program staff and resources aligned to the district's mission. For the Holmdel Heritage Committee, there's collaboration with our first collaboration with the Holmdel Library, International Movie Night. This event will take place June 7th, at 6 p.m. The movie being shown is The Greek Movie. There is a Greek festival running from June 8th through June 11th at the Greek Orthodox Church in Holmdel. There's an Explore Chinese Culture and Art event. Registration is now open by Renaissance. This is being held and presented by the Renaissance Chinese Opera Society. This program will take place on Wednesday, June 7th at 11 a.m. at Holmdel Library. Guest performer Yang Hong Jia will transform herself with traditional opera, cosmetic, and costumes. Participants will enjoy a short performance and some fun interactive activities. At 1:30, there will be an introductory workshop on Chinese calligraphy and painting. participants will learn to write simple, beautiful characters. And the month of May is Asian American and Pacific Island Heritage Month, and we, of course, as a township and a nation, recognize that. So, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Do you need to leave the room for a minute, miss? Okay. All right, so mayor updates. We have medical equipment donation drive. Holmdel Township is partnering with a local charity, the 9/11 Fund, to hold a medical equipment and medical supply drive this month. Residents may drop off items during a large item drop-off event during the month of May. Alternately, they are also specially designed containers located at the DPW building during normal working hours. Items needed by the organization include walkers, wheelchairs, crutches, slings, tub benches, personal protective equipment. The items will be redistributed to those in need in our area. Thank you in advance to all those who were able to donate. I also had an update about the senior assassin thing, but thank you, Chief, on that, so I don't have to say my update. And I also wanted to mention it was my honor and privilege to attend with the Chief this past Thursday at St. John Vianney. There was a real special tribute to the young boy who was paralyzed last year playing football there. Aaron Van Treese and his family was there. They had the fundraiser was hosted by St. John Vianney, and Boomer, Esiason, and Gio, and the morning show came there, and they had a flag football match, and it was really special. It was very inspiring to see him out there. He was out in his wheelchair, but he does have movement. I was talking to his parents from his hands, and they're very encouraged. They say every day he works really hard, and it was real inspiring to see the struggle that he's going through. But he's a real trooper. And they also, the purpose of myself and the chief there were to attend because the honor guard walked out, and they walked our first responders out who attended to the young boy that evening, and it was really nice for the family and the community to honor those first responders who were there that night and had to experience that. But it was a very very emotional evening. But thank you, Chief. It was a wonderful to be part of that. That's all I have for my updates this evening, and at this time we'll close our session here. We'll open up to public comments. If Wendy, you can go ahead and.
In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, this is a public comment period for public comment on any governmental issue of public concern. In accordance with Resolution 2022-17, public commenters are asked to raise their hand and wait to be recognized by the mayor before coming forward and making public comments. Commenters are asked to state their full names and address before commenting. Public commenters are limited to one comment, not to exceed 3 minutes. Comments should be directed to the mayor and township committee. If appropriate, the mayor may direct and recognize a staff employee or professional to respond to comments either at this meeting or in writing after this meeting.
Thank you, Wendy. Sir, please come up, state your name and address for the record.
Jerry Buffalino, 20 Barbera Drive in Holmdel. I think I'm going to be singing to the choir, but I have to say this anyway. It's about the value of the horn antenna in Crawford Hill. And the reason I'm going to say this tonight is because many of you don't know, but Morven, which is a museum in Princeton, used to be the old governor's mansion. I think it dates back to Woodrow Wilson's days. It's a historic site, has exhibits from time to time. And a bunch of us went down there in March to see an exhibit on AT&T and Bell Labs. It was a multi-room exhibit. Unbelievable, the work that they did on this. And of course, the horn was featured in this. But I didn't know this. The presence of that company in our town goes back to 1929. At that time, I guess they were living out of makeshift buildings and tents. The real building wasn't built until the 1960s, I think. But things have been invented in our town that have changed humanity. Radio astronomy was born here. Carl Jansky in the 1930s. The horn antenna in the 60s and 70s. I mean, these are valuable things that we should cherish and celebrate in our town. We have that opportunity right now to do that with the Horn and Crawford Hill. Both of those things are inseparable. One cannot be done without the other. That's why we're pushing so hard to save this as a park, to share it with everyone, and to show what has actually been accomplished in our town over many decades. I know that we have resources to do it. You know, our open space tax was increased 2 years ago, and as Bill and our administrator pointed out, the value of the town has increased over the last 2 years, which pushes up even the revenue on that even further. And then we have the Monmouth County Park System, which I think is very interested in partnering with us on this. They're experts at this. They've done so many of these things. We have the best scenario possible in accomplishing this goal. And all of our political leaders seem to be lined up in favor of this, both at the state and the local level. The one thing that really bothers me, I have to tell you, and it's my experience on the zoning board, and I think, DJ, you would share this, is why a developer would invest $3.7 million in a property that wasn't zoned for the purpose he wants to use it for. A use variance is the hardest thing to get because it's contrary to the land use laws and the town's master plan. It has to be something exceptional to get approval to do. I think our investors must be sophisticated enough to understand the risks they were taking when they bought that property. So, not that we don't know what's going on everywhere, but I think our town's not under no requirement to approve the zoning on that, right? Okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bufflin. I think you were up first there, sorry.
Patrick Tresquita, 56 Line Road. Visiting the Holmdel horn antenna last week, I realized that moving it from its designated National Historic Landmark site would diminish its significance in history, lose its status as a National Historic Landmark, and degrade its working functionality. In 1990, the National Park Service designated the site a National Historic Landmark. AT&T Bell Labs, as the private owner, made an agreement with the National Park Service to be the caretaker of the site and allow public access. This agreement passed from AT&T to Lucent to Alcatel to Nokia and now to Crawford Hill Holdings. The massive 18-ton structure was built on site in 1959 by the Bell Labs engineers to receive messages from the Echo satellite. The antenna base is built into the ground in concrete to be level to 1/64 of an inch. The steel structure supports a thin skinned aluminum parabolic shaped antenna made to exacting specification to focus microwave radio waves to a helium-cooled amplifier housed in the attached measurement hut. After Echo ended in 1960, the antenna became an obsolete lab equipment. What made the horn antenna famous was that in 1964, Penzias and Wilson began using it to do research on satellite communications. Instead, they measured noise coming from everywhere in the sky, north, south, east, and west, horizon to zenith, day and night, summer, fall, and winter. They measured a steady, uniform noise coming into the antenna. It was that measurement that makes the site significant and sacred. Here was the site in 1965 where humanity first came to realize that the universe created itself 13.8 billion years ago. Moving the horn antenna to another part of Crawford Hill would be like moving Neil Armstrong's first footprints on the moon 100 feet away from the LEM. The entire 43 acre Crawford Hill site should be developed into a historic park for prosperity for our grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, come up, Mr. Blumenthal. And I just, again, I just want everyone to know, just because we're not making a lot of comments to what you're saying, please don't take that as the fact that we're not doing anything. I just want to make it clear to everyone, we are working very hard behind the scenes through, whether it's through attorneys or through amongst ourselves, discussing this constantly, and we were working very hard on these things. Yes, Mr. Blumenthal.
Yeah, I'm Ralph Blumenthal, 41 Stony Brook Road. I'd like to reiterate the previous two speakers' statement that we urge you to preserve Crawford Hill and the Horn Antenna as a park with public access. I'm also representing the collaboration to save Crawford Hill and the Horn Antenna. It's SELU, FOHOS, Preserve Holmdel. What we and nearly the 8,000 people who signed the petition to save Crawford Hill care about is that the entire site, including the Horn Antenna in its original and current location, and the high point of Monmouth County should be preserved in perpetuity as a public park. It's our opinion that the Horn Antenna and Crawford Hill would not be safe until they're publicly owned. A couple of recent comments on the petition from Holmdel residents. Why would anyone even think that it would be a good idea to destroy such a huge part of human history, which signifies life on Earth, for a housing development? Please don't turn this town into another cookie-cutter, developer-run town. So much history and innovation happened in Holmdel, and we need to continue and encourage that tradition of curiosity and innovation here. Another comment, we moved to Holmdel from Westfield to get away from congestion in an overcrowded town, and I don't want that here. We don't need new development and townhouses to overcrowd our schools and ruin the charm of Holmdel. Build somewhere else. The Holmdel residents, taxpayers, voters, do not want to see Crawford Hill rezoned for residential development, and we certainly don't want to hide one of the world's most prized scientific possessions in a high-density development. There's a growing chorus from residents, scientists, elected officials, and now over 200 of our own students asking, why is development even being considered here? Property is heavily wooded and already includes several hiking trails with possible connectivity to the nature trails in the Art Center. Much of the property has steep slopes, which are ill-suited for development. Indeed, the township's resource management regulations prohibit any development or regrading on slopes over the 25%. In short, don't rezone Crawford Hill. Don't allow residential development. When the details, plans, and promises get muddled, like they have this month in recent weeks, just ask yourself, will 80 more townhouses really make Holmdel proud? To the contrary, we suggest a new public park would become a high point for Holmdel and make all of us even prouder of the fantastic town that we live in. Thank you. Just a final comment, the collaboration members seek to work together with you, and we have worked together with the Township Committee in previous projects to meet the goals that we just talked about. Please let us know how we can help you, how we can work together with you. Contact any of us, because we'd like to help see this move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blumenthal. And there may be a time for that, and it's just, maybe it's not now, but there will be a time for that. Thank you.
We've got a variety of skills. We have helped in other cases of clearing the project, the property of garbage and old houses and whatnot, and laying out and building trails, and FOHOS, of which I'm a trustee, has helped raise funds and contributed to some of the costs of these projects.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public? Yes, Mr. Emma.
Ron Emma, 32 Ladwood Drive. A couple of comments that I made notes on that you guys made today. DJ, you mentioned about the pilot program is going to be ending, shouldn't money have been held in escrow when the pilot first started, knowing that this was going to end at some point? I don't know how many years it was, but shouldn't the town have put money in escrow before this year's budget? That's question number one. I don't know the answer to that, but I would have thought that, you know, we knew that pilot wasn't going to be forever. My second question or comment is, Mr. Perveduto, about the school safety officer. Again, no one's going to argue that we want to keep the kids safe. That's a given. So that's not where I'm going with this. But you made it a campaign promise to have a closer relationship between the township and the BOE, which is, again, I applaud that. That's great. But we learned tonight from the administrator that 68 cents of every tax dollar is going to the BOE. I think that's what it was in previous years as well. So my question is this: why is it that the township committee, how is this decision made that more money from our 17 cents is going towards the BOE? Again, this is not about not keeping the kids safe, so let's not frame it that way. It's just, how is that decision made? Does the township committee decide we want to give the BOE more money, or is there any kind of public input saying, hey, maybe that $300,000 that you're trying to, you know, contribute to the BOE should come from the 68 cents that the BOE raises in taxes? So I just want to know how that decision was made and whether the public has any input on that. And then the last thing is money for, I've asked this in previous years as well, money for new vehicles, township DPW vehicles, police vehicles, dump trucks. You go to the large item drop-off, and we have the greatest dump trucks, you know, in Monmouth County. How and when is there a benchmark to purchase new vehicles? I've asked this once before, and I don't know if I've gotten a firm answer on it, but vehicles are extremely expensive, and it seems like every time we read something, we're buying a new police car, we're buying a new dump truck, we're buying a new plow. So my question is, who decides when it's time to get a new vehicle? So, because that's big money. So those are my three questions or comments, and I appreciate you responding to them. Thank you.
Sure. I'm prepared to respond to that unless you want to do that first. Okay. Well, okay. I'll go backwards. So I agree, Ron, that there's been a culture here of spending money on equipment and vehicles, and it's always been the best. I can't speak for years in the past. All I can say, number one, this year, and we can get more detail for you, but we didn't buy any new vehicles because I felt like there was enough of that, and with the exception of the police department. The police department needs certain vehicles because they have to be in good operating order, okay? And they get certain mileage. That's all tracked, that's all calculated. The chief and the captains, they have reports that, so like vehicles that we may have put into the budget this year really for next year, because by the time they get them and outfit them, so they know what's coming out of the fleet, and sometimes that's mandatory, okay? Putting the police aside now, right, and we'll talk, you know, DPW or other employee vehicles. I think there was 3 or 4 requested this year that, you know, we didn't approve, okay? And that's part of the fact that we're trying to be very frugal this year on our budget and not spend and use what we have. Again, where's that benchmark? I don't know, but what I do know is that I feel like you know, there's been a culture over X amount of years of we need this, okay, you know, we need this, okay. So I think it's come to a point now with we see the costs of rising of inflation and how a vehicle could be almost, you know, 30 or 40% more now. You know, we have in the budget, there's a new fire truck and there's other things that we know we need to have, but at what point do we scrutinize these things or really look at the fine cost of, you know, what we're spending on it? So I think it's time to curb that trajectory or to, you know, just make some changes in our again, of the culture that we've had here in Holmdel over the last, I don't know, 10 years or maybe more of the way we've purchased. So I think it's time now, and I think the time is right for more than one reason, but I think the main reason is the cost of all these things and how it impacts our budget. So I think it's time now for this committee and future committees to scrutinize some of this spending when it comes to whether it's our inspectors or it's the DPW, outside of emergency services, how we spend that money. I think it's time to be scrutinized more, and I think that goes to the job of the administration to scrutinize these requests that come from department heads on any type of capital spending. The pilot you mentioned about shouldn't there have been money in escrow from I can't speak to when that agreement was created or designed or negotiated. I mean, yeah, it should have, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it would have been nice to have something in place day one. It wasn't. It's not. I mean, I think we have 24 years left, right? 24 of the 30. So there's time. This is not an emergency, but I think why not do it now? Because just the thought of it. I mean, I'm not going to be up here in 24 years, God willing. But yeah, I mean, it scares me a little bit. I don't want to see that for this community. Maybe my kids will be living here. I don't know. So yeah, so I think it's time for at least to plan for that. So that's why we directed administrator and CFO to put, just to start looking into this and come back to us, whether it's in next month or in a couple months, and say, this is something that we think, and then we can start preparing for that on a yearly basis.
So when we were doing the redevelopment plan before it was adopted, we had discussions from council, who was advising us that we created they called it a sinking fund, right? The sinking fund was supposed to take X% of the money received every year and put in escrow. So at the end of the 30 years, we had a cushion to kind of move the township to going from $5 million to $500,000 in revenues, because it was going to flip, to be able to withstand it, because we have employees, police officers, whatever it is at the time, in 26 years from now, or 24 years from now. Why that never happened, I don't know. I always thought it did, because that was discussed early on, and something that would take a percentage of the pilot money every year from day one and put it into that fund to protect the town.
So whose responsibility was that?
Probably the CFO at the time. That CFO is no longer here. So, but it was, I was there, it was discussed, and it was brought to attention, and everybody, the entire committee agreed that that was the right way to move forward, so we're prepared whenever that time came.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. But regardless, again, I'm not going to speak for the past. The fact is, we are going to do something now to at least evaluate this, and then hopefully make a decision in the near future.
And Ron, just to address your question on school security, I don't look at it as giving tax dollars to the school necessarily. What I look at is, and this is a position I've held, and most of the committees agreed, the township's responsible for public safety. And in fact, we'd already opened that door by paying a small percentage of the SLEOs, and we were paying for their training and equipment already, which means that we knew we had a responsibility there. My expectation really simply is see the responsibility through all the way, and that $300,000. Well, well, but hold on. We paid training, we paid equipment, and we paid a percentage of their time, right, before I was on this body, right? Well, and
let's just not have a back and forth,
listen,
guys,
I'm
if
not,
you don't mind.
yeah, and I'm
please,
not
Ron.
gonna, and listen, my perspective is, how the board spends their money, that's why they're an elected body and they can do that. I look at it as, again, as a township being responsible for public safety. I think we pick up that expense. I think it's our obligation to do so. It's my personal opinion. And again, members of the committee have agreed. Not, many members of the committee have agreed. So we pick up that obligation, and the Board of Ed can use those funds however they see fit to better benefit our students. The thought of them having to pay to keep our kids safe felt like something we should be doing, and their funds and resources should be dedicated to the education and advancement of our children. all, as much of them as possible. So that's how I look at that. It is not, as you guys have seen from the budget presentation, increase the tax rate on the municipal side. If any, it'll over time alleviate some pain on the Board of Education side, and again, hope to continue the advancement of our kids. And I think, and again, I think the precedent had been set. We're just going to see it through all the way.
Ron, I just wanted to also add, awesome questions, and thank you for bringing those up. I didn't want to leave Rocco just out on an island. When I sat on the Board of Ed, I felt it was actually a town responsibility to ensure the safety of not only the students, the teachers, the staff, family members that go to visit them, grandparents, what have you. It's a large number, and I feel that's a township responsibility as well. So I was a big supporter in making that happen as well. But excellent questions, and that's really the transparent answer.
Was there anyone else from the public that would like to make a comment? Please raise your hand. Yes, Mr. Lupi.
Good evening, Lance Lupi, Line Road. I don't know, I guess I have to jump on this horn antenna thing. And not to minimize what anyone said in this meeting or prior meetings, as I've previously mentioned, my father worked at Western Electric Bell Labs in Bell Works, Bell Labs. I've said this before as well. I kind of think we missed the boat. We didn't buy it. My question to the attorney, and I don't think that this is going to create any conflict, is what do we gain by understanding who the owner of the antenna is? It's still on this person's property, right? If I kick my ball in your yard, doesn't mean I own the yard underneath, right? So you can answer that after. I'm curious how much we're spending on this, or how much we've spent so far, and what do we anticipate spending on it? Question on we talked about taxes and the tax rate, and it's a little lower, 26.7 versus 30. Revenue's rising. Do we anticipate this continuing? I mean, interest rates are up significantly over the last 12 months. They expected to go up again. Don't we anticipate that property values are going to actually decrease from where they are right now? And so I want to know, what the thoughts are there. On the police with the school, question on who pays. I see, like, my daughter was at St. Benedict's in grammar school, so I see we sometimes have officers stationed there. Who pays for that? Do we get compensated, or do we just have an officer there as for safety purposes? Bethany Road crosswalk I'd asked about last meeting, and I was curious if anyone ever figured out where that was. I drove down there. I still wasn't fully paying attention. Eyes on the road. So I'm just curious what that is, what's going on there. The school, I know it's only 2 days in. Seems like it's going well so far, I guess, based on Chief's comments. Wondering about the light, if there's any change there. I see a lot of bills for Verizon. I know we said that in the past, we were going to get rid of them. I see a lot of bills on the payables for 2022, like all the way back to like July. I was curious why. A couple of meetings ago, I'd asked about other costs associated with the volleyball courts. I don't recall receiving an answer to that. Maybe I did, and I just didn't capture it in my notes. Oh, and then there was a budget item for a new door. First aid building, maybe? My question is, it talks about all the parts, all the materials, and then labor, and then a 10% premium. And it looks like the 10% premium is included in the contractor's labor costs. So I'm wondering why I could get why we're paying a premium on the parts they're purchasing. Why are we paying a premium on their labor? And did we pay that premium on all the prior labor costs? Because it's only $81 now, and they made a mistake. It's $133, not $131. But I would like to understand, did that 10% bump on all their salaries, was that included in the original proposal? Thank you.
Okay, I don't know, but I'm sure we'll find out that. The only thing I could think of is that it has something to do with prevailing wage, and I don't know. So I didn't read the.
Change order says 10% added for the contractor, but part of the contractor is their labor rate. So why are their labor rate very?
Again, I don't know, but we'll get you an answer on that, Jay. The 10% additional
Yes, typically a change order includes a profit and overhead charge for the contractor. So there's the quote for the actual labor and/or parts involved, installation, and then markup and profit for the contractor.
Right, I understand. The volleyball. It could be because it's a change order, right? And that they have to come back and. We'll look at it again, okay? Okay. The volleyball court. I'm trying to remember. You had picked something up again in the. Yes, and I believe I spoke to I spoke to Bob Ward about this. He gave me an answer. This is like 3 meetings ago. I honestly don't remember. So I apologize. He told me what it was. He clarified it for me. I'll get it again for you, and I'll write it down. So I'll have him email it to me so I can have it. Bill, do you want to talk about Verizon bills for 2022?
Yeah, without Verizon bills 2022, Verizon bills, we're migrating off the system. We haven't migrated off Verizon yet. We're getting a whole new phone system through Cisco, and that's not up and running yet. And until it is, we will stay on Verizon. A lot of the 22 bills, I just reviewed them, were things that were ordered in 2022, and because of the supply chain, they're just not coming in on a timely basis. We got a lot of things, some pool improvements, some other stuff for the generator outside. Just the supply chain, we're waiting for the stuff to, come through, and we cannot pay until it's delivered and on site.
Thank you for that. Go ahead. You have something?
Morning.
Okay. And the other thing is, I don't know. You're saying you saw a police car in St. Benedict's. I don't know. If. No, I understand. I don't know if they were there for a specific reason. It might have been a call. I don't know if they were doing security. Okay, Chief, do you have anything on that, or do you want me to talk to you offline and I can?
We have our officers go to all our schools.
Okay, so all the schools in town.
Besides the SROs that work at the schools, we still have patrol officers.
Observing when there's drop-off and stuff? Yep.
Drive-throughs when the kids are getting in, St. John Vianney, St. Benedict's, and our schools here in Holmdel.
And all 4 of the schools, right? Yep. Okay, thank you, Chief. All right.
Yeah, and Mayor, if I may, just to
Sure.
clarify, the 10% markup is, this is the general contractor. The quote that was provided is from a subcontractor to perform the work. So the markup is the services of the general contractor that are included in the change order.
Thank you. Yes, Mike, do you want to make comment on the Hornies?
Sure, Mayor, real quickly. With respect to the ownership, and, I'm limited to just speaking to what's in the complaint itself, but essentially, the township is in receipt of what is believed to be a clause in the contract between Crawford Hill and Nokia, which indicates that Nokia has some sort of legal interest in the horn antenna. And so one of the 2 counts in the complaint seeks a declaratory judgment, simply clarifying which party owns the horn antenna, or if both parties own the horn antenna, what the respective interests in that are. And I think the intent of the township is, self-evident from the relief which is sought, which is essentially knowing the answer to that question, so that, if there's a conversation to be had, it's being had with the appropriate party. It's not feasible to negotiate the future of the horn antenna if we're not negotiating with the party that owns it.
Okay, I'm getting there.
I bill by the hour,
No.
but
So, again, we have an attorney, we have special counsel working on these negotiations. I don't have a cost. Is that something that?
I mean, certainly. I mean, you could certainly request records if you're curious, but essentially, so far, the due diligence is involved. Our executive sessions, dialogues, and the preparation of the complaint. And that's all billed hourly, and we'll see how much further legal work there is on this matter as time goes on.
I mean, we're not looking to milk this out with attorneys. Trust me, that is not our goal. Our goal is to get a very quick solution. We're just trying to do this the correct way, so that we are in the correct position that we want to be in when we are ready to make our decisions here. I think that's everything, Lance, that I had written down. Okay, so what was your question? Like, is it there? Is it not there? Where is it? Okay, I thought the last time we spoke about this, you asked where is the crosswalk. Okay, I don't remember having to get back. Did you ask me about who paid for it? Okay, I didn't get that information. I don't remember you asking me that. I'll find out. Okay. That's again through our traffic safety officer, and I thought he was working with you on that. All right, these things take time, unfortunately. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to make a comment? Yes, sir.
Hi, Bill Little, 8 Coventry Square. Yeah, so we had some nice weather in the last week or two, time to get outside and ride your bike, and that got me thinking about the proposed bike path that I think the last time we talked, we're waiting for some kind of engineer's report or something. I'm wondering where that is, and also, I think that was phase 1, and there was talk about a phase 2, and I'm just wondering if there's any ongoing planning or any other ideas percolating around in the Traffic and Bike Safety Committee. So if you have any kind of update, that'd be good. Thanks.
And I can just jump in a little bit on that. I've spoken with a couple folks that had been involved with the committee, and we are going to be getting together and see where we can continue moving with that. I know there were some roadblocks that they had run into with the original thoughts, the original plans, so we're going to be getting together and again seeing what we can do to perhaps pull that all together. So no concrete answers for you right now, but it is moving forward.
Are we still waiting on a matching grant from the county, or has there been any updates on that? That to your knowledge, Jay?
Yes, that's the phase 2, I believe, that was referenced last year. The township applied for supplemental funds through the Monmouth County Open Space Development Program. Although I've received verbal indication that that has not been approved, we are waiting for the formal notification to that effect.
Okay, thank you. We can get you some more updates on that as things progress, and we'll keep the public informed on progress on that. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to make a comment? You can come up. You have to come up and speak. Thank you. Can you just name your name?
Hi, I'm Heidi Gabriel Riscala at 21 Hayfield Court. My kids are in private school, so I'm very interested to be involved in the event of the township, whether sports, whether Holmdel Public, because again, Oak Hill is only till 8th grade, so if you could please send me the information from the last meeting to my email, I would appreciate it. I also, in case of concerns for that I have for the Board of Education, who do I get in touch with? They go to a private school in Middletown. Is there a Board of Education for private school? Is it a Board of Education?
Our Board of Education is for Holmdel Public Schools.
So who do I get in touch with if I have any questions or concerns? Or I would attend the, I guess, Middletown private? Is there a board for private schools? Would it be a Board of Education of Middletown?
If it's a private school, then it would be directly through the private school.
They don't have a Board of Education?
Correct.
Really?
It would be through the dean or through the president of that institution.
Really? Oh, okay, very interesting. Yeah, okay. So that's it. So the Board of Education, that would be the private school. And then if you could send me the dates and minutes for this meeting and the minutes of the meeting before.
I'm going to volunteer you.
I mean, with the dates
Our minutes are posted online?
They have to be approved prior to being.
Okay,
made.
so after our minutes are approved, then are they posted online? Then they're on our
It
website.
did not have dates from. It did not have like events and stuff. I know that sounds. It might sound a bit.
Have you gone on our website and looked? There's different departments. There are dates that we put on there if there's events happening in town.
Okay.
And they're
So
usually
it
at the
is on-
bottom of, they kind of come right out at you if there's something that's pending.
Okay, very good. Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome.
The township calendar recently said there are no meetings in May.
All right, we'll look into that, if the calendar wasn't updated for some reason. Wendy, could you have Brian look at that? Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to come up and make a comment? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting.
Motion.
Second.